Once again, your home quiz on page 25. And let's get started. Our objective for today, I can identify the attributes of functions. Once again, I can identify the attributes of functions. Tell you never which concept we're still on. So, make a FAIR model, please. Build a FAIR model without looking at your notes. I want, in your own words, a definition, one example, one non-example, and one hashtag for the attributes. I'll give you some time. Ready? Go. Who got something like that on their FAIR model? Almost exactly the same, right? Damn, let's go. We got it, yes? All right. So, quick recap as to what we've been covering so far. We've been talking about intervals, yes? We have finite and infinite intervals. And we said if it goes or continues going or it's not included in the interval, we use parentheses. But if it is included, we use brackets. So far, so good? Yes? All right. Get your graph paper, please. On the far left, you should have a graph paper on the far left and the far right at the top of the page, yes? We'll start with the left one. Underneath that, I want you to copy example Q, and it reads, write the instructions, please. Example Q, graph the data given, write a function, then write the domain and range in set notation and interval notation. However, instead of just reading write a function, I want you to write a linear function. What are we writing? Write a linear function. Okay? After you copy the instructions, copy down the table and plot your points. And from there, just wait for me and then we'll continue from there. Copy that and go. Okay, we're good, yes? All right, so here we go. So you copied the problem, you copied the table, you plot your points. So here goes the plotting in case you're having problems with that. -5, -6 is down here. 2, 3 is right there. 6, 4 is right there. -1 is right here. 5, 2 is right there. 4, 7 is up here. And -3, -2, -3, -2 is right there. All right? So far, so good? Let me make this point again. Hold on. -3, -2. There it is. All right. Angela, you got something like that so far? Yes? Okay. So let's see what they're asking us to do. Number 1, graph the data given. Did we do that? Check. We're done. Next, write a linear function. Here just this function, but we're focusing on the linear function. We need to do that. But before we do that, I want us to write the domain, the range, and we're going to use set and interval notation. Okay? So in order to identify the domain and range, I'm still using highlighters to practice our vision to focus on the X values. Are we there? So now, for those of you that are getting confused with these, look up to the screen, please. Anytime you get a set of data or function in a coordinate plane, we read graphs always from left to right, like if there was a book, right? So if I'm going from left to right, which is my first point? Is it up here? No, it's this one right here. From there we go to this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and the last one would be that one, from going from left to right. Do you agree with that? So I'm going to start on the far left. This is my first point, yes? Remember what we did for domain? We highlighted all up and down, all the way through to make sure we got the whole thing. So get your first highlighter. And I'm going to highlight beginning at this point. Let me see. All the way up. And from there, continue highlighting all the way through. And stop at the last point when you highlight the last point. Yes. You did? Be nice. Well, he's not telling her, he's telling me. All right, thank you. All right. Ramon, try not to get in trouble. All right, here we go. Underneath the table, I want you to write domain. Now, guys, right now I'm having you use highlighters because it makes us focus just on that section for the X values. Does that make sense? And then it makes us focus right now when we find the range, just the Y values. But eventually, I'm going to try and have you guys identify the domain and range without any highlighters, just by focusing and imagining that you're highlighting. Does that make sense? So here we go. So by looking at the highlighted section, starting from this point, which is the first one, and the last point over here, tell your neighbor between what two X values will the domain be of the whole data. All right, who said between -5 and +6? Yeah, we got this. Write that down, please. And of course, when we're talking about domain, we're usually always talking about which variable? X, that goes in the center. Now, by looking at this point, it's a solid point, so we do less than or equal to because it's solid. Same thing with this point, the last point, it's a solid point, so it's less than or equal to. So far, so good? All right, I want you to write me the set notation right underneath, please. How would you write the set notation? Okay, you should have written solution set of X such that -5 less than or equal to X less than or equal to 6. Hands if you got that. All right, now let's write the interval notation. Interval notation. See if you can write that interval notation by yourself. All right, since it includes both points, we do bracket, -5, comma 6, and bracket. Hands if you got that. Okay, we got this, right? It's good review, and we're getting more practice. So now, next to that, I want you to write range. Now, the range, now we're going to focus on the Y-axis, up and down, yes? And we always start from the far bottom because we start from the negative side, yes? So I'm going to switch colors of highlighters. I'm going to switch to a pink one. And I'm going to start with the point far down here, which is the first point that I encountered, that one right there. So I'm going to highlight right there. And from there, we're going to highlight going upward till we highlight the whole thing, including the last point. Hopefully some of you, just by looking at that highlighting section, yes? Right. Everybody hear the question from Damien? He said, instead of putting Y, we put what? F of X. That is correct. So, tell your neighbor, actually don't tell your neighbor. I want you to write me the inequality for the range, please, now that you are focusing on the Y-axis, please. You see how the highlighting section helps us kind of like just focus on those numbers? Yes, right? All right, write me the set notation and the interval notation. And let me forward your screen so that you can send me a picture of what you do. All right, so let me go back to my graph. Here it is. All right. Write your utensils down, look up to the screen. So let's see what we've covered so far. We found the domain and the range and set notation, interval notation, and an inequality. So what's the only thing that we have missing? are a linear function, yes? All right, so here it goes. I'm going to go over the points one more time so you guys can see them because of the highlighting. It kind of fades a little bit away. There it is, 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 there it is. So they're asking me for a linear function. Linear function, which means it has to create a straight line. Some of you are saying, Mr. Q, how is this going to make a straight line if I connect them, it's going to make a squiggly line? Well, we're going to use a method called best fit line. You guys remember back in 8th grade? Some of you? Yes, I had you guys do a best fit line with some data. You guys had to draw the line and so on and so forth. I'm going to refresh in your memory right now. Okay, so pay attention. A best fit line is a line that follows the trend of the data. So let me start with the first point, reading it from left to right. Which is my first point? This one, yes? What's my last point? This one. So in what direction is the data going? It's going upward. Do you guys see that? It's going in that direction. That means I can sketch a line that goes that way. However, do we just plot it anywhere? No, we have to at least pass through 2 points on the line and leave the other points kind of like balanced. 2 above, 3 below, or 3 above, 2 below, and so on and so forth. So check this out. Now, I can't draw a line that looks like this. Why? Because all these points are way over there. Is it balanced? Do I have any points underneath that line? No. Okay? If I move this, kind of, but I still have too many points above. You see what I'm saying? All right, so what I'm going to do, check this out. I'm going to move this. Almost. And basically, I'm trying to go through this point and that point right there. You guys see those 2 points? This point is what? -1, -1. And what is this point? 2, 3. So on your graph, I want you to sketch a line going through those 2 points really quick. Yes? And this one, even though it looks like it's going through the point, it's a little bit off because I made it too big of a point, but it's a little off, okay? So let's see, how many points above the line by themselves? 2, how many below? 2.5, or 3 of them? That's pretty balanced. Everybody with me so far? All right, so we need a linear function, but that becomes a little bit confusing. What if I said, let's write a linear equation? Does that sound more familiar? If I asked you to write a linear equation, what would I write first, everyone? Y equals mx plus b. That is correct. Write that down. And why do we use that? Because that is what makes a line. And what information do we need for there? We need the y-intercept, which is the plus b, and we need a slope. So, by looking at this line, do you guys notice this line crosses the y-axis? Yes? So I'm going to zoom in to find out our y-intercept. I'm going to put a red point on it. Is it 0? Is it 1? So we can kind of guesstimate it's what? 0.5? Okay, so on our equation here, underneath, I'm going to put positive 0.5 for my y-intercept. Next, what else do I need? Slope. And remember when we did the review at the beginning of the school year, how do we find the slope of a line? You pick 2 points and count your steps. Did we go through 2 points? Yes. Yes, what were the 2 points? So highlight it in green, that one, or use a green color. This is one point right here that we went through, and the other one is here, which is 2, 3. So, to get from here to here, how many steps up? 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. I turn right, and then I go 1, 2, 3 steps. So my slope is what, everyone? 4 over 3. So I write that right here. 4 over 3. Am I done? I'm pretty close. Bring down the y and bring down the x. But since they want it in function notation, everyone, we write what? F of x. That is correct. F of x equals 4/3 x plus 0.5. Man, this is so easy. Yeah? Show me how comfortable you are with this. We got this, yes? Yeah, some of us are getting there. Some of us are getting there. So once again, here it goes. To write an equation given data, you sketch a line following the pattern of all the points. Yes? But make sure you go through how many points at least? 2. And make sure it's balanced. You have almost the same amount on the bottom or the top of the line. Once you do that, you write your slope-intercept form equation, substitute the y-intercept, find the slope, and write your function. You got it? All right, because you're going to do one by yourself right now, yes? All right, here we go. All right, underneath the other coordinate plane, the one to the right of where you were at, I want you to write example super cube. You do not need the instructions because you already have them written down. Just copy the table, please. Plot your points, sketch your line, and find me the linear function. I'll give you some time. Ready, go. So, let me go over this part. There's going to be situations, look up please, that they ask, copy the table down, check this out, you already have it, and they're going to say, without graphing, identify the rate of change. And what's another word for rate of change? Slope. That is correct. And then they're going to say, well, I want you to identify the rate of change only between 2 points. And I'm going to choose this one and that one. Now, some of you see it, some of you don't. Let me show you why you can identify the slope without graphing. Ready? M equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Still don't see it? Here's point number 1, and here's point number 2. Do you see it now? Yeah, you just need to label it. X sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. Do we know what to do from there? Yes? Yes. If you're going by the table, I mean, try to go with the top one, number 1, and the second one, number 2. Okay? Now, just FYI BTW, the book is going to start talking about rate of change in terms of, look up please, instead of using y, what are they going to use? F of x. So if that's true, let me rewrite this in terms of f of x. M equals, what would I write there? F of x sub 2 minus, what else? F of x sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. I'm just giving you the heads up so that you don't get confused. It's just substituting the y for f of x. Okay? Any questions up to right there? All right, so I want you to write on your paper, rate of change is slope, and then write these two formulas down so that you're not surprised in case it throws you some of that in the lesson or the unit. All right. All right. Okay, I'm going to advance your screen while people finish copying from over here. All right, so on your graph paper, we're going to copy that function. I'm going to give you some points in between so it can help you do the curve. Okay? So here we go. Do I zoom in more, or is that okay? All right, let me zoom in more. So I'm going to give you, this point is what? -5, -2. This point is 8, 6. But now I'm going to give you some points in between. I'm going to give you this one right here, which is -2.5, 5.5. -2.5, 5.5. That's this one. And this one right here, that one is 3.5, comma, 0.5. That's that point right there. So now that'll help you do the curve. Yes, a little bit? Okay. All right? So, with that said, look up to the screen. So now that we have that, let me zoom out now. Don't worry about the domain and range right now. What I want to focus on, though, is the following. They're going to ask us, pay attention to this part. Underneath your coordinate plane, I want you to write, that says, find the rate of change from, yeah, write the rate of change. Oh, you want to write slope? Okay, so write slope on top of that, guys. Write slope. Nice. All right. We know that rate of change is what? Slope, okay? It says find the rate of change from x equals 0 to x equals 2. You're saying, what does that mean, Mr. Q? Well, aren't they giving us x values? So that means they're asking us to focus. X values, what does that mean? Focus on the domain from where to where? From 0 to 2. So I want you to take your highlighter so you can have your eyes focused there. And we're going to focus, here's x0 is right here. So I'm going to go from the bottom to the top. And keep highlighting going towards the right all the way to what other number? To 2. There it is. Some of you are saying, Mr. Q, why did we do that? Because we're doing this. Look up. We want to find the rate of change from here to here. What does that mean? That we're only going to focus from here to here. You guys see it now. From here to here. Let me zoom in so that you can actually see it a little bit better. Hold on. Check this out. To compute the rate of change, this is 0. Is there a point here? Yes. That point is 0, 3. That's x sub 1, y sub 1. Is there a point here at 2? Yes. What is that coordinate? 2, 1, and that's my x sub 2, y sub 2. Do you know what to do with that without the graph? Yes, and that's how you compute the rate of change. Your homework for tonight is on page 25. Yes? Make sure you put your iPad away. I'll print it out. All right, so home quiz on page 25. Have a good one. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.